Yo, what's going on? I go by Collier, and in today's video, I'm gonna show you 12 FL Studio tips and tricks that could change the game for you. I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. First, go into GMS and load up the default patch. Change the first wave shape to saw retro, and then drop the pitch of the first two wave shapes to -24. Next, you're gonna wanna increase your voices to 16, turn the stereo all the way up, and then set the detune to about 50%. Make sure to click the mono voice so it only plays one note at a time. If you want a more distorted sound, you could increase the cutoff to allow a lot of those higher frequencies to get through. If you want a smoother sound, then decrease the cutoff knob to cut off all those higher frequencies so you could really hear the sub in the Reese bass. If you want, you can even increase the frequency slide to about 70% to have that Travis Scott glide kind of sound in the Reese bass. Next, I'm going to show you how to add a vintage warbled sound to your samples. It sounds crazy. Okay, so first you'll get your pattern. And then you're going to double your tempo. So here I'm working at 140, so I'm gonna go to 280. Then I'm gonna render my pattern to an audio clip. Then I'm gonna go back to my original tempo, which is 140 BPM. Make sure that your stretch audio button is clicked, and then stretch the audio back to its original length. Okay, now you're gonna wanna go into your sample settings and take the time stretching mode and switch it to auto. Okay, now listen to this. Okay, here's the original. And here's the time stretch version one more time. Did you know that FL Studio had a Formant knob? Go into your sample settings and switch your time stretching mode to Stretch Pro. Once you do that, you'll see this secret Formant knob appear. Now listen to what it does to this vocal. Hey, hey, oh. Now it doesn't change the pitch of the sample, but it changes the character or the timbre of the sample. Now you may recognize the Formant knob from Little Ultra Boy, which is one of the most popular plugins for this effect. This effect is perfect for background R&B vocals or vocals period. Okay, this next tip is perfect for if you're designing complex samples, accents, phrases, or even drum kits. Okay, go to your playlist drop-down menu and then go to time markers. Then you're gonna wanna add a time marker to your playlist, or you could just press the hotkey Alt-T. Name the marker. Now, if you notice, whenever I click stop, it goes back to the beginning of the playlist. But if I right-click the time marker and select start, then my song starts wherever that marker is. I can drag this time marker anywhere I want and make my workspace as big or as small as I want to. So let's say I got a nice little phrase from a sample that I like. I could just take that sample and I can move it over into my workspace so it doesn't interfere with the other stuff that I have going on and I don't forget about it. Okay, so I know you've heard about Flex, but did you know that FL Studio has tons of other quality instruments that are not even inside of Flex? Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Look for this section called Packs in your browser. Now, if you click instruments, you'll notice that there are about 25 stock instruments that sound pretty fire if I'm being honest. Here, just listen to this piano. All right, now listen to this guitar. Okay, I just found this random preset in Guitar Rig. Listen to what it does to this guitar. The orchestral sounds are fire, the basses are solid, and not to mention the drum kits could be used for perk loops. And if you blink too fast, you might miss this Foley section, which can be used to add a nice unique twist to your tracks. So definitely go and check these out. Okay, so the FL Studio sample preview is so clutch. I like to make sure that my full sample preview is selected from the drop-down menu, just so whenever I try to play a sample, it'll play through the whole thing. If you left click anywhere in the sample preview window, it'll start the sample over, and if you right click, it'll go to that point. Adding automations with third-party plugins could be a way to make your music stand out from the rest. Now, the normal way to make an automation clip in FL Studio is to just right-click any knob in your DAW, and then you can use that to create an automation clip. But that doesn't work with third-party plugins. To create an automation clip in a third-party plugin, all you have to do is move the knob around, then go to Tools, Last Tweaked, and then Create Automation Clip. From there, you can adjust it however you want to. So I like to keep my tracks organized, and one of the ways that you can do that is by naming your patterns. So when I'm working or adding new instruments, I make sure to name all of the sounds that I'm using, and then when I'm done, I just go up here to pattern 1 and right click. Then I click split by channel, and now every sound has its own pattern, and I'm ready to arrange my tracks. I can even do the same thing with the mixer. Just select each instrument just like this. Make sure your instruments are already in the order that you want them to be in. Right-click the mixer channel that you want to start at, then select channel routing, and then select route channels starting from this track. Now everything is assigned and named in the mixer. Okay, if you want to collab with another producer or move a project to another computer, then these next few tips could probably help you out. Now, if you want the track stems, then this is what you gotta do. Go to File, Export, and then select Wave File. Make sure to title your tracks properly so people take you seriously. I suggest a good title, the BPM, and the key of the song. Now create a new folder in the location that you want. I usually hit Ctrl X to copy the title, then I hit Ctrl V to title the folder the same thing. I usually just name the folder and the stems the title of the track. Once you click save, make sure to go through the settings to make sure they're exactly what you want. To stem out your track, click Split Mixer Tracks, then hit Start. And now in this folder, you'll get all the stems to your track. The stems are determined on how you assign the sounds to the mixer, so make sure that's correct before you stem out your track. Now, if you just want to send the drum sounds and the audio clips and the FLP, then you'll want to export it as a zip loop package. To do this, go to File, Export, and then click Zip Loop Package. Find the location that you want to save it in, call it whatever you want, and then click Save. As you can see, it doesn't take really long, and if you go to the folder, you'll see we get the FLP and we have the drum sounds right here. Now, exporting the project bones will give you all the settings that you have in FL Studio associated with your track. It takes all the effects, all the automations, and all the notes played, and it converts them to FL Studio presets, and it saves it in the folder. If you want to give somebody complete control of a track, this is probably the way to do it. Now, you probably already know this next tip, but it's worth going over just in case you don't. Now, if FL Studio crashes while you're working on a project, there's a pretty good chance that you could still recover the file even if you didn't save it. After FL Studio crashes, open it back up and go to File, Revert to Last Backup, and your project should be mostly all there. FL Studio has an autosave function that has saved my life plenty of times. And if you want, you can go up here to Options, File Settings, and you can select how often FL Studio autosaves your track. I usually do every 5 minutes, but you could do every 1 minute if you want. Now here's another way to stay organized with your plugins. If you go to your browser and right-click on Plugin Database and click Open, you can see the location of all your plugin and plugin categories, and you can rename them however you want to. The effects are your effects that go into the mixer channel, and the generators are the instrument VSTs that you have. This has just helped me to stay organized so I know where everything is and I can find it quickly. Now, if you want to change the layout of your DAW, you can go to View, Arrange Windows, and then choose from these options. You can even move things around and save a custom layout for later if you want to. Keep in mind, you can always go back to View and Arrange Windows to default if you've messed something up or you've tried something and you don't like it. The toolbar at the top could be switched around too. There are quite a few options up here. You can add or remove buttons by clicking this edit option. You can switch things up a little bit by clicking this flat buttons icon to kind of get rid of that 3D look. There are definitely a few options that you have to kind of just play around with things to see if there's something that you like or something that you don't really like. You can even change the mixer layout if you want to. There are a few different options here, all with different benefits. The extra large option is really cool because you can see all the plugins that you have for every mixer channel at one time. You could click this button if you want the actual waveform visualization rather than the bars. Definitely check these options out and figure out something that works for you. That way you could stay creative and efficient. Now that you know a little bit more about your DAW, watch this next video so that you can take your melodies to the next level. I'll see you over there.